Welcome to Vahrenberg Implement, and today we're going to talk grader blades and what you need to know when you're looking to buy a grader blade for your tractor. RhinoAG's heritage goes all the way back to 1930 with the service company, and in 1934 we actually created the first semi-mounted rear grader blade. So we've known a few things or two, we've learned a few things or two over all them years, and we're going to try to help you this morning in selecting the best blade for you. We're going to give you 5 tips to look at and consider when comparing and shopping for a rear grader blade. The first thing you need to look at is implement weight. Now we've got subcompact tractors to a larger compact here to we even got great big tractors. And you need to match the blade to match the horsepower and the tractor and the job that you're going to do. There's light grader blades that basically all they do is bounce around and jump around on top of the surface. They scratch the top of the surface. If you're moving rock a little bit, that's not bad. But weight is probably one of the biggest things in grader blade performance. The heavier the hitch, the heavier the blade, the more pressure it's going to have on the ground and ability to do work and move material and do the job you want it to do. There's things to look at, like this is our lightest blade that we build, the 35 series. You've got a big, heavy, beefy hitch. You've got a lot of weight in the Mow board. You've got a lot of steel in this compared to some lightweight blades out there. There is some really cheap blades out on the industry, and I don't like doing competitive comparisons, but man, if you look at the difference, you'll see the difference. Weight is one of the factors you want to look into. As you transition up, you're going to get into bigger and heavier blades. Like this is our 70 series. This is in the large compact small utility class blade. You get more beef in here, you get more beef in the mast, the kingpin area. And then the other blade we got is the 950. Man, if you try to put this 950 on that little subcompact, it's going to be an overkill. So too much weight can be bad, but to have the right amount of weight for the tractor you're trying to use. This is a blade for a large utility tractor, would be a perfect option. And we're going to get into some other features and stuff about it, but weight is one of the things you need to consider based on your tractor size. The weight of the blade is going to help you to be able to do job. The second thing is mow boards. Man, there is all kinds of mow boards out there. This is actually a formed mow board. It is actually curved with an inset for the grader blade. You can see that on this. It's going to be a little harder on this one with end shields, but we can see our grader blade here. It's a little thicker, a little deeper. We go to our big dog here, the 950 series. You're going to see that blade gets heavier. Still same common shape. I've personally seen manufacturers that all they did was bend a piece of metal at the top and the bottom, and that's how they get the curvature. These blades are actually formed, curved pieces of steel. That's one of the things to look at. Actually, right there would be a look at some company's mow boards. That's all they do is stamping. Height of mow board. The distance from this point to this point. What's that tell you? That's how much material you can move. So a taller grader blade mow board is going to be able to handle more material. And if you watch our 70 series video pushing snow with this last year, there was a lot of volume that you could push, and that's due to the height of that mow board. We go to our bigger blade, it even gets taller. So look at mow board design, and height and thickness are going to be your key things. Along with that is your cutting edge. Do you have a welded on cutting edge, or do you have a bolt on cutting edge that is reversible? If you look at this edge, you've got an edge here and you have an edge there. You've got a replaceable cutting edge. There's a lot of difference in cutting edge too, as carbons of steel and quality of metal and all that stuff, and that's going to relate. If you're dragging on concrete or hard surfaces, that mow board could wear out faster. Metal is not metal, and we've learned that a bunch in the farm equipment industry. So, and that's going to be hard to find a spec on that, but a good quality brand grader blade should have a good quality cutting edge. And you want a replaceable cutting edge, because if it wears out, you don't want to have to buy a new grader blade. The third thing is the adjustability. There's 3 functions in this adjustability. The first one we're going to talk about is pivot. Pivoting allows the blade to turn this way. And as you see here, we've got this blade pivoted to where it's at an angle. You can see the angle of the blade here. We've got this one pivoted here. That pivot adjustment is, how easy is it to do? Well, like the 35 series, all we've got to do is pull this pin here and we can pivot our blade. This is pivot. When you're talking pivot, it is front to rear, and can you go around to the backwards position? That is pivot. So, can your blade pivot? Most blades have the pivot feature, but that would be a mechanical or manual pivot option. This is a manual pivot. You pull this pin here and it'll pivot this way. This blade features hydraulics. As the blades get bigger, you can start adding blade features. This big beefy cylinder here pivots the blade right here. You can see the arm. You can pivot the blade front to rear. You reverse the blade, you pull this pin, reverse the blade, and then you can pivot it in the reverse position. It's got infinite positions. When you get into our 850, 950 and above blades, hydraulics become the option. They get more expensive when you start adding hydraulics. So pivot is the ability to turn that blade front to rear. The next function of adjustability, and makes a difference, is tilt. A lot of blades have the pivot, but they don't give you the tilt. What's the tilt do? Well, if you're going to cut a ditch or clean out a ditch, is this blade here, you pull that pin and you watch. We can tilt the blade, tilt the blade side to side. This is a manual adjustment. You can see we've got the 7007 actually in a tilted position. That is done on it by a manual adjustment right here. Pull this pin and watch. We can tilt that blade. So that's the manual style adjustments. Make sure if you're getting a blade, man, that is a great feature, because if you're trying to keep a crown in a road, trying to keep it humped in the middle, pull that material up to the top. Tilting helps pull the material up and away from the ditches to the center of the road to keep crown in the road. This blade here, we actually feature a hydraulic adjustment of it, and that's what this cylinder back here is going to allow you to tilt that blade side to side. So we've talked about offset, or we've talked about pivot and tilt. The next one is one of the coolest features of a grader blade. It's offset, and it's something not found in everybody's blades. It's done different ways. As far as like this 35 series blade, it's a more economical blade. It's not going to be as easy to change your offset. You loosen these bolts here, and these extra holes out here allow you to side shift the blade. Not going to be something that you're going to do many times during the day, I can tell you, on the 35 series. But when you want offset, it is awesome and nice. That's where the 50 series, the 70 series, we're just going to put our pin back here so we can show you. That's what this tube is. That tube allows me to offset it. You can see the blade is sitting right behind the tractor now. We pull this pin And watch this. I can actually crank that hitch where it offsets the blade. So if you're cutting a ditch, I can actually move this over, keep the tractor up on the road, drop this tip down and let it cut in a ditch. That is one of the big features that you need to look at. On our 950 blade that we've got here, it has the same similar style. It can actually be done hydraulically too. It's the same cylinder as this one, that big cylinder. You put one over here, it's pivoting off of this point to offset it to the left or right. A lot of tractors don't have 3 sets of hydraulic remotes, so that's why we've ordered this one with 2 sets. But it can be switched, it can be added. And the bigger blades, they're gonna have 3 hydraulic functions to give you 6 ways of adjustability. That's pretty much the basics that you need to understand when buying a rear grader blade. That's the 5 features, 5 specifications that you really need to look at. The next things are options. Optional accessories. The 35 is going to be limited on what it can do because it's an economical blade. The bigger the blades, the more options. And that's where we get into the 70 series. And you've probably wondered, what the heck are these things? What are we doing over here with this 70 series? These are called end plates. End plates hold extra material. Basically, it allows a grader blade to kind of work like a box blade and hold material, so as you're going across the chug hole, the material can fall out and fill in that spot. The other great purpose is if you're pushing snow, they hold a lot of volume to keep it from wanting to roll out from the sides. They're removable, 4 simple bolts and it comes off. Now the other thing, skid end plates are available on a wide variety of blades. Even our 950 blade, we can add end plates. You can also add what they call skid shoes. This is a skid shoe for a rear grader blade, and it's available pretty much on all series of blades. What it does is it allows you to adjust the blade height that you're cutting. This skid is going to roll on the ground. You've got a variety of spacers here you can see. You got thin ones, you got thick ones. You can adjust the thickness. You take the spacer, put it on top. Actually, put your washers, put that on top like that, put it back in, and it's going to limit how far that blade can go down. If you're a novice at grader blading work, skid shoes are a great option. It keeps the blade from digging too far in the ground. You can remove them. You could take all the spacers out, pull it up, and then your grader blade's going right back to normal grading blading if you need to do some heavy duty grader blading. That's another option is skid shoes. And as we talked before, hydraulics on our bigger blades are an option. There's actually a tail wheel option on our bigger blades that allow you to do more precision blading. That's more get into agricultural, water management, that type of stuff. Grader blades are not all created equal. I hope this helped you learn more of how to select the proper grader blade. If I was going to guess one, weight is your number one of the top things. Don't judge it all on one specification, but you need to have a good heavy blade. If not, you're just going to be bouncing around. I hope that helped you learn a lot more about grader blades and how to choose the best grader blade for your option. Visit your local RhinoAG dealer, and if you're in West Central Missouri, come visit us at Vahrenberg Implement here at the corner of Highway 13 and Business 13, which is Fairground Avenue, just 4 miles north of Interstate 70. We're just a short 49 miles from the Kansas line, just east of Kansas City, Missouri. We sell Massey, Ferguson, and RhinoAG, and we would love to show you and help you and teach you and find you the perfect grader blade for your option.